What's up, guys? We are live and we are ready for some As Dusk Falls Spoilercast action. Very excited for this. Thank you so much, everyone who is joining us for this one. I've had an absolute blast for this game. Spoiler alert already. I have, yeah, so revealing my love for it already, but I have been all over Twitter sharing my love for this game. I thought it would be awesome with the nature of the game to get together an awesome crew of guys to have a chat about this one because of the many possible outcomes and many possible routes that you can take through this amazing narrative game that I have enjoyed thoroughly. And I've put together a little crew of legends to do that with today. Three guys who I believe have also very much enjoyed this game, and I'm very much excited to chat about it with them and hear about their experience. But thank you so much everyone who's joining us in the chat. Just going to do a little intro on the panel here. We have firstly another time coming back on the channel. Always an absolute pleasure and honor to have this guy on. Runs an amazing channel over on the Fun Speculation YouTube channel. Legend that he is, Mav, always the cool guy in town, bringing the positive takes as well to gaming, and it's a pleasure to have him again today. How are you doing, Mav, brother?
What's up, Andy? Hey, what game are we talking about again?
Oh, it's just some random game that we haven't mentioned at all.
Is this an indie game?
Well, that's a debate, I suppose, in itself.
Okay.
I mean, an indie studio produced it, but there is a bit of a publishing issue there if you wanted to get technical.
Yeah. I've definitely played As Dusk Falls, and I did enjoy my time. So I'm glad to come here and hang out with you, Indy, and awesome. Give all of our different kind of takes on our playthroughs. It's gonna be interesting to have a comparison. So shout out to the chat. I'm glad that my buddy Psychonauts is here, and it's good to see Scott as well. I haven't talked to him in a while. I think the last time was probably here on your channel, actually.
Nice.
Andy, so it's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, buddy. Well, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on again. I always have a lovely time with you, my friend. So thank you very much for being part of it. And as you just mentioned, we have also got your partner in crime from your own channel. Someone I saw chatting some awesome positive messages out on the Twitterverse about this game on the run up to it. And I thought, what a legend you are. We've had you on the channel before. Let's get you back on for this, as you are sharing your love for As Dusk Falls. And I thought we might as well try and get you in at the last minute. And you arrived like Batman. You reached out the call and you are here, my friend, so that is awesome. Thank you very much for being back on the channel, Psychonauts. I hope you're doing well, brother, and welcome to the show today. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me. I love this game. The playthrough that I have, anybody that I talk to, and anytime I see someone post about this game, I am just it's crazy to see people's different tree branches where they went through the story and the outcome they have. It's just really, really, really good. It's a great game, and I just once I heard that you were going to do a spoiler cast, I was like, I need to be on that show.
Love
I
it.
need to talk.
I love that. Love that. Most definitely, my friend. Yeah, I couldn't think of a better guy who's, like yourself, a lot of passion for the story-driven games like myself too. It's great to have you on for this one for sure. Cannot wait. And finally, someone who appears a lot on this channel, and because I love him dearly, he's a great guy, old Scotty boy from the Green Pass Gaming crew. But I'm trying to basically steal him a little bit, aren't I, these days? Because he's always on the channel, but I can't resist. Yeah, thank you so much for being back on again for this, Scott. We had many great chats about As Dusk Falls already in the DMs, so let's take this online and chat with everyone else. How are you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, Indy. Thank you very much. It's going to be a pleasure. Obviously, I've had a few conversations with Mav before Psychonauts. Obviously, it's a pleasure having the chance to speak with you for the first time. I'm really looking forward to it. We were chatting in the DMs, and I think we'll get into it in a bit. But the thing that stood out was just how different our playthroughs ended up being. I'm really excited to kind of dig into everyone's playthrough and where we took different decisions and why we took that decisions. And I think that's just what made the game so special. So yeah, really looking forward to this, man. Thanks again for the invite.
Oh no, absolutely. Honor always, buddy. It's a great time having you on here always. So thank you very much. Always, accepting the invites, it makes my day. So yeah, thanks again. But looking forward to this one because it's a bit different on the channel. We've not done one of these before, but I quite like the idea of tucking into a specific game, especially the one with so much scope like this one, with so many branching narratives and branching paths that this game offers. I'm really excited to hear from the chat as well about their experience with this game, how what path they've taken through it. But we're going to dive into it and just sort of like hear about the game in itself. Basically, we'll give a little background on it. Obviously, you've played it through it. I'm sure most of you guys, if you're here checking this out, but the developer themselves, Interior Night, done amazing work on it. Obviously, put so much passion into the actual elements of the story. They are, big fans of, like actual TV series they mentioned, like True Detective and things like that. You can definitely see that shining through in the game. But yeah, one other thing I really loved about the way the game was put together was it was actually acted by actors in a true sense. It's not it's not been rendered in a game style. It's actually been acted, like I say, and filmed in that way, and they've extracted the emotions from the moments and put those into those still moments. That's why I feel they come through so strongly. But I just love the way they've done this. There's so much incredible writing gone into this game. They say 10 to 12 feature film amount of basically script that has gone into this, so it's a lot of writing that they put into it. So all the branching paths and everything like that really shows in that way, where it's very much impactful when you choose a different route in the game. And you could, there's so many games that say, yeah, you got, it's, your choices matter. Don't you? You hear that all the time, don't you? So it's almost a cliche. But this game, it truly does matter. But I just wanted to mention that as off the top there. But I want to hear from you guys on the panel. Let's hear some of your thoughts on maybe how you felt about the game, and just off the cuff kind of firstly to get warmed up about As Dusk Falls. Anything you would like to mention, then I'm sure we'll tuck into more detail. But Mav, let's go with you first, my friend. I think you might have even streamed some of this bad boy as well. What was your thoughts on As Dusk Falls as a whole, just to start things off?
First off, I was not looking forward to this game whatsoever.
Wow.
Okay. I was actually pretty critical of it to begin with. I was sick of seeing it all the time. Like at E3, they showed it like 3 different times in like 2 days, and I was like, come on, can we see some other stuff? Because it's the only thing really Xbox has coming. Blah 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 blah. But the thing that was throwing me off for the most part was the stop motion kind of slideshow type visual style that it had, and I was like, it was really distracting and annoying when I kept seeing the trailers, and I didn't think it was showing very well and some people, and I heard other people say that's kind of something that was throwing them off, and but I was like, you know what, it's in Game Pass, so just like every game, I'm gonna try it and see if it grabs me. And so I was going through there. I think this came out the same day as 2 other games, and I was just checking out the games that came out that day on stream, and I started playing this, and I got hooked. It was right away. The first 5 minutes or so was a little slow, and I was still a little worried about that the same things that I had a little bit of trepidation about, right? But once the story started getting good, like, okay, this story is fantastic, and these decisions are so weightful, right? They make such an impact, and it makes you sit there and actually really think about what you're about to choose, because you don't know what the consequences are. And then the way that the game was shot with the slideshow animations made a lot more sense, because it was almost like a reveal, right? Every scene that they showed, every step that they took with revealing the next animation or the next slide or whatever you want to call it was like revealing the consequence of your decision, right? And it held a lot more weight that way too, and it was always curious what they're going to show next on the screen, and it did come across like a great book where you don't know what the next page is going to hold, you know what I mean?
It's like a choose your own adventure, isn't it?
So it really grabbed me, and the things that I had like issues with before I played the game became some of its biggest strengths.
Nice.
You know, the writing was absolutely out of this world fantastic. The actors did a amazing job. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the actors in this don't win some awards, as well as the writers should win some awards as well. Definitely. So overall, like, slam dunk for me. I think the game is kind of came out of left field to be a surprise. One of my favorite things probably that's going to be released this year. In fact, Kate was watching me stream that first time when I was getting hooked into it. She's like, all right, you need to start this over, and we're playing it together. Right. So
cool. How do you find that, Mav?
So we
the
did
multiplayer.
that. Well, we tried the multiplayer, and that actually for me became more of a distraction, and for her too. So we actually were playing it where my wife was playing and my daughter was playing and I was playing, right? But it became more of like in between those slides when you're making those decisions, like there was too much like time in between with all three people having to make the choice and stuff. When they actually said, hey, can you just make the decisions like instead? Right? Because they were actually enjoying like seeing it unfold without the big distraction in between each decision. Right? So for us, it played better single player, but I've heard some people say that the only way to play it is multiplayer. So I think it depends on who you're playing with and like what are y'all looking to get out of it. For us, playing it solo but them watching was the best thing for us. But it was interesting still going back and replaying that first section, because the first time I was making decisions as if I was making those decisions. And then when I replayed the first act, I was making decisions differently just to see how the different outcome was, right? And whoa, I really saw how impactful those decisions were, because it really changed, where things were headed. So it was a fantastic game. I can't give enough praise.
Nice. That's a fantastic opener. And I just wanted to mention one thing, because I actually forgot. We have got a message from, just to let you know. So yeah, basically, guys, obviously, you've probably worked this out anyway, but just wanted to actually do a little message, pass this over to my, authoritative partner in crime, Scott, to give you a little message before we get into the rest of the show, because it is going to get meaty. Scott, my friend.
So apparently I've just learned today that I've got a scary voice, which I'm not too sure if I should take offense to that, Indy. Speaking on behalf of all Northerners, I wonder
you got a lovely voice.
How I should take that. But yeah, let this be your spoiler warning, everybody. If it wasn't obvious already, we're going to go deep down that As Dusk Falls rabbit hole. Big spoiler warning on the screen at the moment. I can see there as well. So if you still want to play the game, if you haven't played it yet, you want to see through to the end without any spoilers, then maybe pause, add it to your watch later, and come back afterwards and then see how everyone's playthrough ended up. So let that be your final warning, I guess, before any more spoilers are spoken.
Perfectly delivered, Seth. Thank you very much. Love it. Good stuff. Yeah, thank you. I forgot to do that a little bit earlier, guys, but yeah, Mav did a brilliant job of actually delivering some great takes without actually any spoilers just yet, but I'm sure we'll get to that. But great takes though there, Mav, and thank you very much for that, Scott. yeah, Psychonauts, buddy. Just the general thing, like Mav said it there. What do you feel about the game as a whole? I'm sure we'll tuck into some more deeper narrative threads in a bit, but as a whole, how did you feel about it?
Oh wow! So I was intrigued with this, with the story when I saw it at E3. I was like, that's interesting. This whole stop motion style like animation. I mean, it might turn people off by just watching the trailer, but once you get into the game, it adds another layer to the story almost, because then it's like, and you're like, oh my god, like because now you're seeing your choice on the screen and almost as a picture in some cases, and you're like, oh my god, like what did I just do? Like should I have made that choice?
Yep.
Like, oh no, but it's so riveting and it just draws you in. Like I haven't played many games that have sucked you in.
Yeah.
But this is one of those games that story it just shines, and I just can't get enough. And just telling people, you just need don't put who cares about the graphics and all. Just play for the story and see where you like actually play the game, and like how I played the game. I played it opposite of what I would naturally do. So I would, so that it gave me a whole different aspect of the game, because now it's like I normally wouldn't do this, but let's just see how this plays out. And holy crap, I'll tell you that Jay his story when I did it the opposite of what I would normally pick.
Right.
My God, that poor boy. So
I'm guessing you peed in the lemonade, or was that your natural? Or was it your natural thing to do that anyway?
I wouldn't have done that. But,
it was Dale that peed in the lemonade, wasn't it?
Sorry,
if I remember right.
It was Jay.
Was it Dale that peed in the Dale?
No, it was.
I think
it was Dale, and then he said, "Do you want to do it, Jay, as well?" Kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I took that choice down. I was like,
I'm thinking
Jay's a nice guy. He wouldn't do that.
Psycho peed in the lemonade.
Psycho peed.
Yeah,
but it's just crazy how this story played out, and I was like, wow. And again, like if this was a TV show, it'd be winning what was it, Emmys or Grammys or whatever they win for it. It's that good. The story and the team at
Interior Night. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Interior. They need every award because they did a fantastic job.
Yes, most definitely. I totally agree. A story is incredibly strong. You could almost just listen to it and it would be that compelling, you know what I mean? But I mean, it's interesting. I hear some people was a bit divisive on the visual side of it. I mean, I hear some people saying, don't worry about the visual like you just said and stuff. Me personally, I absolutely love the visual style. And I really feel like the actual way they've done it, where they really focus in on the emotions, where they stop on that emotion, if you see what I mean, which have been brought out of the performance from the actual actor who acted it in a normal sense, because they actually tried it in images first, actually just shooting photos, and then they said it didn't work, so they want to get the performance out of the actor, and then they extracted the moments when they were at their sort of like most emotional, if you see what I mean. So that's the way they decided to do it. So I feel like it really works because it really highlights the emotions of each of those moments. But yeah, it's interesting to hear. Like, I really like the visual style personally, and that's great takes, those Psychonauts, my friend. Fantastic. Loving to hear that passion about that story element. Is so incredible. And yeah, I agree with you about it being that good. It could win an award on whatever platform, couldn't it? Like whatever format. I think. Yeah. Hopefully it will do as well. So fantastic stuff, Scott, my friend. I would love to hear your takes on just how you felt about the game in general.
Yeah, I mean, Mav and Sago have both explained it pretty well already. The game itself, I don't think showed particularly well in the run-up to release, and I think a lot of that was down to the art style. I think the art style is much more impactful when you're playing it yourself. The game obviously in the run-up they couldn't give too much away of the story,
Yeah.
because that was the entire thing, which puts them in a really difficult position. But I think when you combine the art style with the choices that you have to make, I think it's a really good combination. And I was a little bit hesitant going in. The art style, like I said, didn't grab me before release, but then when I was playing it, I understood the reason why they went for that decision.
Yeah.
And I spoke about this on our podcast after launch, where and you mentioned it earlier, in the emotion that they're able to capture at certain points, despite the fact that they've only got the single frame at that point to display it, and then combine that with the excellent voice acting. I thought as well. It just was an awesome combination. It's not typically a game that I would play.
Yep.
I've not played too many of these in the past, because it's not been the type of genre I would normally click with. But this one I wanted to really give a shot, and I loved it all the way through. And the way that I approached the game, actually, which is maybe slightly different to Mav and Psychonauts, was I kind of try to role play it a little bit. So what I try to do is, when I'm making decisions, I try to put myself in the frame of mind of that character and who I believe that character to be, and what their personality was like. So each decision was made kind of with a different mindset where I could. That made it quite difficult though, because then I was choosing between myself and the character, and having to make decisions that maybe I didn't want to make, but because I thought that's what that character the choice of that character would make. And what that's kind of led to is this position where I kind of feel like I've done my definitive playthrough, so to speak, which obviously is going to be different to you guys, and I know it's very much different to yours.
Yeah, we definitely have to explore that in a second, sure. So you played it as yourself, is that what you said, sorry? Or the character?
No, I try to play it as the character. So kind of each decision, I try to almost role play that character.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I see what you mean.
For that decision. But like I say, that meant at times maybe I personally would have chose something different, but because I was trying to get into the mind of that character.
Did you find that hard though? Because obviously, like with the more, do you find it hard to sort of like differentiate between yourself and or the character's morals or whatever, and your morals, because there's quite a lot of moral choices isn't there in the game.
I think it's difficult because it's easy to sort of project your own personality on the characters a little bit as well, and you kind of relate to something like those points where maybe I don't know if you guys had this, where you could relate to maybe Jay or Vince in particular. So it was difficult, and maybe some of that subconsciously impacted my decision making and led to particular decisions, but I was pretty satisfied with how the story went. It left questions still to be answered.
Definitely.
Some decisions that, after speaking to you, that maybe on reflection I wish I hadn't done that, but at the time to me it was the right decision.
Exactly, and that's
awesome game. If anyone that's listening that hasn't tried it, and maybe they're listening to this because they're curious about the story and they're just a little bit hesitant because they're not into that genre or that art style, I would say, look, please pause, go and give it a shot. It's 5 or 6 hours for one playthrough, and genuinely, I don't think you'd regret it. Everything the guys said about the acting and the performances is absolutely true. So please give it a shot.
Most definitely, that's a great shout, buddy. Yeah, it's interesting to hear. Because I remember we were talking about when we were doing the live reaction shows and stuff, where like you and Luke, I remember you being quite, like you say, not too sure about it at that point, which a lot of people seems to be in that same boat as well. Obviously, I was, correct from the start. So.
As always.
Sorry, I just had to get that in there. I did. I had a lot of faith in the game.
Andy, you peed in the lemonade too.
Just for this. I did it just for this. Actually, I recorded this earlier on, and I thought because it's going to be gameplay, I'm popping it on there. Yeah.
Well, actually, the cola. He took it to the cola. That's a great brotherly bonding moment.
That's true. Actually, he doesn't do lemonade, does he? And then in a bit, he takes a little drink and makes a strange noise. It's great. I mean, for me,
I didn't choose the pee in the lemonade. That's one thing I did not choose. I did not do. I let the brother do it, and I was like, nah. Because at first I was kind of playing him as like this weak little kid, but then he was like, you know what? I need to stop that. I need to play how the opposite. Because I would not have. Yeah. So I should have went and did it.
When I did my probably the first playthrough is the most close to, your or moral self, I would say normally. Like that's my first playthrough. I didn't do it. Moral choices about peeing in lemonade is quite a strange thing to talk about, but yeah, on my first playthrough, I didn't do it. So this is not my first playthrough you're looking at right now. But yeah, so I don't know how many playthroughs all you guys done. You just done one, Neil, or?
Yeah, I have only done the one.
Yeah,
and
nice. Yeah,
Yeah, same.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's like our buddy Pong. He was like, he doesn't want to play through it again.
Okay.
His story was perfect. He said so for
Nice.
him. He doesn't want to maybe play it different through and doesn't get that same reaction or the same outcome that he did the first time around.
Yeah.
So he said he's not, but like for me,
Sure.
like I want to play it because there's a whole other tree.
There's so
I
much.
did not pick.
Yeah, there's
So,
so you can see it on as well, can't you? I'll bring that up in a bit as well. The narrative tree, which is super interesting to see. I like the way they do it. They show the percentage of people choosing a particular route and stuff like that, and you feel like sometimes it shows you to be quite the trailblazer in the route you've taken or whatever, but yeah, like, and also like it just shows you how much it spans off as well. Like if you take one route and it shows how many different possible paths it will eventually open out to in that direction, if you know what I mean. If you hadn't taken that route, then it's a lot that you couldn't have explored, if you know what I mean. And different characters can die in the game, and different characters can survive, obviously, so it's like, and that changes things a lot. But yeah, like what we'll do, I think now is maybe get into a bit more detail if you guys can recall kind of some of your routes that you've taken. I mean, yeah, so let's go back to Mav if you like, and maybe let's talk a little bit about, or anything you want to talk about, but maybe a bit more detail, like so character specific things maybe, or like who are you drawn to the most out of the characters. I actually really like the Holt brothers, which is quite strange. I don't know. I know they're the bad guys, but
Okay.
You're
I really like them.
You're twisted.
I'm
Andy.
twisted, man.
Why?
I just felt for them, if you know what I mean.
You probably like Dale the most. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they were really well acted as well. I don't know.
Yeah, they were great.
I just think
Oh yeah,
they're good.
I agree with that, but they just came across as a. I'll not say the next word. I don't want to get demonetized, man. But
That's
I
all right.
really didn't like them, and I made apart from Jay, I really felt for Jay quite early on.
Definitely.
But I had a really poor opinion of both Tyler and Dale very early, and that didn't change.
I mean,
I was on the
throughout the
fence
story.
about Tyler at first, and then later on, it completely turned on him. I was like, okay, this guy's a douche. But my favorite guy was Vince. And I really kind of like, for me, I was almost felt like I was playing his story for a long time.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I feel like that at the beginning actually didn't
Yeah.
because there was obviously you were playing him a lot in the beginning.
Yeah, I really related to him, like, because a father, and I was putting myself in his shoes, and he had a lot of the tough decisions you had to make early on that had real consequences for the family, and so I was putting. I mean, if you watch the screen, I'm pretty much wearing the same exact thing that Vince is wearing right now. I mean, like I have a white T-shirt and khaki shorts on. I mean, I'm pretty much this guy.
That's amazing.
I really did like kind of relate to him and his character, and throughout the story, I felt like that was my favorite part, was trying to make that decisions to try and protect your family, right? So, and it was an interesting thing with those two playthroughs, right? Because, early on, there's like a decisions you have to make, and one of them has the cop that comes into the station, and the one's like, hey, you kind of like trying to alert them, and one's like, you try not to alert them, right? So the first time when I was playing because I only played the first act twice, and when I was playing that, I was like, first time I was like real cool and calm and collected, and the cop still caught onto it, and he like whispered in my ear, and he's like, hey, don't worry, I'm gonna get some help, and he goes outside. But the second time, I tried to be like more like, hey, blah, 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 there's blah, 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 but then he got killed and he got shot.
Yeah, you
right?
can, exactly.
Yeah,
and I was like,
in mine.
So
I was like, oh, I wish I would have played it the same way I did the first time, because I just got this guy killed, and
He was cool
So
as well.
it's
That cop,
interesting.
he was awesome actually. A good little part, yeah, that guy. But yeah, it's like you can get killed or you can get not killed. Yeah, I got him killed the first time, and then on my second playthrough, which I haven't quite finished, I'm halfway through my second playthrough, he got saved because I was conscious of saving him, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, those decisions were like really, especially early on, really impactful. I feel like some of the impact of the decisions kind of like lessened over through the course of the game because the trauma event happened early on, right?
Yep.
In the first act, pretty much. And I feel like that event kind of sets the stage for everything else. And those consequences of those early decisions, like, pretty much hold the answers to why everything happens in the second act, right? So the first act is really curious how different people's playthroughs went, like what happened, and you know, like for me it was it got even more interesting when they went to the it showed the events back at the their house, like what before they started their trip, right?
Yes,
and then
where you got to clean up and that.
And you find out about the affair.
Yes,
you know?
yes,
and
exactly.
it's like, whoa, do you accept her apology? Do you not? I was not having it. Nope, you're done.
Right, nice.
Like, you're out. Like,
yep.
Nope.
Yeah.
And then she ends up getting shot. And I was like, oh no, I feel bad that I was so mean to her, but at the same time, she still screwed me over. So at least she's the one that got shot.
Yeah, so I guess
that was the thing, Mav. Sorry, just on point, because this is one of the big differences between mine and Indy's playthrough when we're talking about it. Is, again, kind of going back to sort of how I put myself in the shoes of the character almost by making those decisions. I kind of thought that Vince would be the type of guy that would want to trust his wife and believe what she said. So obviously I had an inkling that maybe that's what happened, but I chose to believe her during those decisions.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't push it.
So you never found out about the affair with your playthrough?
No, I didn't until Indy told me about it again. So that's like, it's such a massive story beat that would have completely passed me by had we not had that discussion. And it's one thing I really liked about the game as well in general is just how later on further decisions or different parts of the conversation reflect back on those choices that you made. So just as an example on that one, when it is Michelle, isn't it? Yeah.
Michelle,
Yeah, when she gets shot, does she get shot in everybody's game actually?
No, she doesn't.
Oh, okay, interesting. So she did get shot in mine, and then
she got shot in my first playthrough.
Before she's taken away, she asks Vince, why did you believe me when I told you that? And you obviously got the choice there, and maybe you could have pushed it again there, and maybe she would have come clean at that point. But I think my choice was just I just believe you, and then kind of that was that. But it's that's just another thing where they kind of it's not just like the choice matters in that moment; they do reflect back in it later in the story at certain points as well, which I thought was really cool.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. Great shout. I was the same actually in my first playthrough. I was like, I pushed her and then I said, I forgive. But on the second playthrough, I was like, I'm having none of it. You know what I mean? Don't forgive. And then, but yeah, like there's so many different things that like happen. Like you say, there's, if that, because that's fueled later. Then who are you going to save out of her and, oh my god, I've forgotten her name of the little girl.
Zoe,
thank you very much. Not thought that might happen. Zoe. So if you could save Zoe or her, or who did you guys save on that when you can get her out of the hostage situation?
Did you have that Michelle was taken as the hostage.
Yep. So you can get one. You can extract one from the situation at one point.
I sent to my daughter. Yeah, I sent Zoe.
I thought you might have said
100%. Like that's the for me. That's the as a parent. That's like.
Yep.
Always the right thing to do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like put them above.
Especially when you've just told her, I'm having none of you, cheated on me. Follows on from that. I thought you'd say that. She was
lying on the couch bleeding, and it's like, it wasn't like, okay, is she gonna die if we don't send her? You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, geez. Yeah. Well, it turns out, So
shouldn't have cheated on me.
But the daughter ended up okay. So
yeah. Well, kind of.
So did Michelle die in your playthrough, Mav? Because you sent the daughter?
Michelle
Holy
died.
shit.
Yeah.
Like that's
is dead.
that's such an early decision in the game that you make, and obviously
Yeah.
the rest of the story you played through, and as you get towards
Yeah.
the end, obviously in my playthrough, Michelle was still alive because she was shot, and I didn't know she had done that. I sent her out. Yeah, man. Yeah,
My
there's
playthrough
just so
had
much in this
a
game.
lot of dead bodies in it.
Did
we
it?
had- wait, I think Joyce died. We had
Really?
Michelle died. The big
Sam
Sam died.
yeah. Amazing.
Dale died.
Wow, you had a lot, yeah. So
Yeah.
when you didn't warn him then when there was a sniper, I'm guessing.
No.
Right, yeah.
Because he was a douche.
Yeah.
He deserved it.
No, he's all right. He's just had a troubled life. What about his dad?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for his dad, then he'd be all right.
Yeah, his dad was even a bigger douche.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to that then, Liz, so obviously in the situation, yeah, I'm curious actually, Scott, what happened with Michelle if she doesn't die then? Does she have much of a part to play or?
Not that much to be honest. She's
Yeah.
obviously still there at the end of the story. Yeah, but I'm curious, as, like, not that she has a massive part, but at the end she's obviously still there. And
Yeah.
we'll get into the end. Of it.
Yeah,
I just
juicy.
No,
I just
she's
can't imagine how I just can't imagine that ending without Michelle being there, because obviously it's towards the end of the story. It's about Zoe being in college. I think it is in the States. Apologies, I'm not too sure what the structure's like in the States. But and she's obviously speaking to her family. Michelle's there, and it's just weird to think that Michelle wouldn't be there because of my playthrough. She survived the entire thing.
Right.
For me, she was talking to Vince, and on the phone, and
Yeah.
she's talking, had different troubles and stuff. But she was probably just gonna cheat on him again if she lived. So.
Yes, true. Well, yeah, once you've
Man,
started
that
it,
sucks, man.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I feel for
I'm
Vince.
never cheat on
Yeah,
Mav.
I'm convinced to have like a good story, man. I
Yeah.
did really like Vince, so that's really
Yeah, I think
disappointing in a way to hear. But he was happy in my playthrough, so I'm
Yeah.
pleased that that's how his story ended.
For me, like, it actually showed some like positives for Vince at the end. Like there's showed some like highlights of like flight school or something.
Yeah, he
Vince's
set up
flight
his,
school
set
or
up his
something
own
like
one, didn't
that.
he? Yeah,
And it's like, hey, Michelle was holding them back all along. Who knew?
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I had that. So I had a similar thing actually. I had the one where it sort of cut to his own flight school thing. So maybe that was quite similar choices that we made on that bit. But yeah, we didn't on the first playthrough. I didn't say, it's over or whatever. I don't think. But yeah, so like, what was I going to say? Yeah, so how you were saying about Michelle in the situation. So yeah, did any of you have Jim, the granddad? Did he get injured at all instead of anything at the hostage situation, or did anyone get that?
Yeah, he got hit in the head.
Yeah, that's the other way it can go. Yeah, so instead of Michelle, it can go that way. So Psychonauts, what was your experience?
Yeah. So my experience with the whole thing is like I stayed with Michelle. 'Cause, like, again, I said I did the opposite of what I would normally have done.
Yep.
Because I know what I would do. So I'm playing this experience as what would happen if I did the opposite of what I normally would do. So that's what I did, with a little bit of what the character might have chose too. But so Jim stayed with Michelle, of course, and then Jim got smacked in the head with the gun, and I calmed the dog down successfully. I calmed Zeus down.
Yep.
Did anyone not calm Zeus down? Apologies to interrupt Psychonauts. Did anyone not calm her down? Or him down, sorry.
I calmed the dog down, yeah. Because it's the source of the issue, isn't it? So that's why the way I think of it.
The thing is, I think because you calm Zeus down, that's why Joyce gets shot, isn't it? Because the choice is between calming Zeus down or asking Joyce.
Joyce got shot way later for me.
Right. Okay. Because this was probably a part where I really projected myself on the story, which was like I was really worried that they were going to shoot the dog.
Oh, right,
And I was
okay,
like,
yeah.
"There's no way I can let that happen on my watch."
Not on
So
my
I
watch,
really
yeah.
every opportunity was about calming the dog down because I didn't want them to do anything to the dog because that would have hurt had they done that. But I think in my playthrough that meant Joyce got shot.
Right.
That's how she died.
For me,
so.
Joyce died after Dale died. He did it in frustration because Dale just got shot. So then he just shot Joyce.
Right, okay.
No real like reason other than she was given. You know, Joyce likes to give some lip every once in a while.
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
kind of talk some crap. Well, she decided to do it at the wrong time.
Yep.
Right after Dale got shot in the head,
Exactly.
and then he couldn't hold back at that point. He just fired one right into her.
Yep. Yeah, I think that might have been my first playthrough when how that happened as well, actually.
Yeah, because when the cop came, Big Sam, when he came,
Yep.
I had the earring, so
Right.
he didn't see the earring. So he did not see anything, and he
Right.
left
Unscathed.
oblivious to
Yeah.
anything. So he had no idea that anything was going on.
Wow.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely like with when I was playing with Vince, I was playing as like being protective dad and being like I went for the gun. I took the gun away and I clicked it and I fucking fired it, but there was no ammo.
Oh yeah.
I pointed right at Tyler and I
Yeah.
pulled the trigger and
Yeah.
they're like, "You're gonna kill me!"
Yes,
You know,
I've tried that one as well. I've tried both. Yeah.
Yeah, so because like I
Yeah.
wouldn't have normally I wouldn't have not done that like that as I wouldn't have taken the gun and pointed at the guy and tried to fire at him because you don't know if that's because when you took the gun they weren't nervous or they weren't freaking out when that happened. So two things: it's either there was no ammo, or it's blanks. So it was just how they reacted. It was like, oh no, you took the shotgun.
Right.
And it was
So
like,
there's a little bit of a hole with that too, though. What I found in the game, because when you fire it and it doesn't go off, right?
yeah,
Because that was what happened to my first playthrough, and I learned for my second within that first act. He goes and says, oh, "You think I was going to shoot you or something like that, right?"
Mm-hmm.
But he goes on later to actually use the ammo and shoot like people in that same gun. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like a little bit of a thread misnomer for me, like with the writing. It was something that didn't quite add up. Because I think he had actually already shot that gun to kill the cop, Big Sam, at one moment, and or if you didn't use it, he uses that same gun to kill Big Sam. So it doesn't add up and tie 100% together, because it did have real ammo in it.
well,
right?
It depends on your outcomes. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It would if the gun was loaded or not loaded. So
Mm-hmm.
if you were being aggressive and Sam didn't see the earrings and didn't see evidence that they were there, possibly that there was just no ammo in the gun. But if you played it another way, like if you got Big Sam to be murdered, then possibly the gun was loaded at
Right.
that time. So it
Yeah.
just depends on how the choices you make, and that's the thing. So it's like, yeah, like my outcome is different, your outcome is different. So the different choices that we make,
Yep.
there's ammo in the weapon or not. So I think that's where it like separates and starts branching off for different people. So the story
Yep.
doesn't follow that same path because I don't think you can go.
Well, even
And-
then though, like I think he like there was the gun that in that same playthrough, I think the gun got dropped and fired a shot into the ceiling or something, right? And it had gone off. So and then then Vince went to pull the trigger, there was no shot there. So there was a little bit of I remember it really caught me off guard. There was one thing where they didn't add up 1+1 properly with the gun, with that whole gun situation.
Do you mean because he's
was,
already shot one off? Basically, is that what you mean? Because it's
he's already had shot one off, and then he goes and says it wasn't loaded, right? And it was a 2-shot chamber. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, it was loaded. If he were to say I was never going, you think I would actually bring a loaded gun? Well, it was loaded because it already went off when you dropped it on the floor, right? So that didn't add up to me. You know what I mean? But like that's one instance. I mean, I could imagine the difficulty of putting this thread all together and making sure everything lines up perfectly. But that was the one time I saw something as like that didn't add up, right?
Yeah, that was before that, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the.
It was very early on.
Was that before the bit where he comes out to shoot him? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? I think. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Like I say, like Psycho said, it might be a consequential, but I don't know. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a good point for sure. Yes. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean,
I've got a question for you guys actually.
Go for it.
Because this is fairly early on. What were your guys' opinion of the sheriff earlier, and how did that impact your decisions?
Oh,
I mean, I did change a little bit, but to be honest, you're gonna figure it's weird again. But I don't know. I thought I felt bad for him as well.
Oh, what?
I think it's because I quite like him. He's quite charismatic.
I mean, I can understand that, but the guy, so the thing is, for me, early on, I obviously not really knowing everything, I was kind of on his side, but then very quickly as the story developed during the standoff, I was like, this something's off with this guy.
I didn't like him to begin with. I could tell he was kind of like a jerk from the get-go.
And
I felt like he just like that character got worse and worse for me, like as it went on, and maybe in a good way with how the story wants him to be portrayed. But I just never liked that guy, and the longer the story went on, I liked him less and less. And it's actually, if you really look at how it all played out, I mean, all the deaths I told you, happened in my playthrough. I mean, really, they're like all on his hands. You know what I mean? Because it could have been handled completely different, but he had his own self-interest at heart instead of actually protecting everybody. So. That's kind of how everything went down.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think they do try and do that in the game. That they do try and put multi-layered aspects to it, to where people are sometimes going to feel like he's got his own reasons, if you know what I mean. And you're gonna it's not just black and white, is it? You know what I mean?
I have a question though, because I've been really. This is one thing I really got to know an alternate version of, and I'm wondering if any of you guys had an alternate version of this. So. When Jay and the brothers, Jay and Dale are in the house, right? Yeah. And they're robbing, and Jay goes upstairs, and he opens the door, and you see the wife in there, right? And she's in her wheelchair, and she had her headphones on and stuff. So there's a moment there where it's like you have options, right? And for one of them, when she was going for the alert button, I went and I unplugged it, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then I talked her down, and she was like, "Hey, screw him. It's his fault anyway, right?"
Yep.
So, did anybody else have a different alternate version of that? Because I am really curious if there's a different path at that moment.
I didn't in my game, but I have seen something. But anyone else, if you actually had it?
No, she didn't alarm the sound the alarm. So for me,
no.
But it just shows the branch. It still comes to the finding if you found the safe. So it's either it's possibly if you sound the alarm, possibly who 911 gets there faster. It might be maybe more people.
What I'm wondering is if Dale goes upstairs and shoots her or something.
Right.
Another version.
So in my game, I bolted out of there when I saw it because
I
didn't want to have to make a decision for Jay where he had to do something to the woman. So I was like, if this gives me the option where I'm going to have to do something to her, I was like, to me, Jay wouldn't do that. So I was like, I'm bolting. I'm just getting out of here. I don't think that has too much of an impact on the story, though, because I think the sheriff arrives fairly shortly afterwards anyway. But at least in my playthrough, there was no sort of serious consequence to the wife, even though I just bolted out of there.
Right.
Did everyone remember the code?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I think I was one digit off in the end. I was like, shit,
Oh, really?
I can't think of it.
What happens when you
so
don't get it? Does anything weird happen?
Yeah, because that's a whole
Uh,
different branch.
Is it?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think actually now what happens, because you're obviously searching through. Oh well, I've got the I'm a little bit behind on the video. I'm just watching your playthrough at the moment, Indy, because I can see you try to tie the wife up as well.
Oh, you would, wouldn't you? Sorry, I apologise.
Yeah. So you got the code right, and obviously you get the money. I think basically after that, the main thing is there's an argument between Dale and Jay, if I remember correctly, and then the sheriff turns up. So you've basically got a well, in my game, I balled out there. So looking at your playthrough, Indy, yours was completely different because you stay in the house.
Yeah, that's what I've done on all of them, I think. Right, interesting. Yeah, I didn't realise.
But in mine, because it looks like you were downstairs. In this one, so if you get it wrong, Dale comes upstairs, and then the sheriff comes in, and then you just kind of got to make your escape from there.
Right, I see. Interesting. Yeah, definitely. So at that point, what was I just going to say? Yeah, another one is in that house as well, where there's a branch between, you know, whether the sheriff gets shot or if he doesn't, basically. Like if you get a clean escape, or if, what did you guys get in that regard?
I got a clean escape, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he saw the truck.
Yes.
You know,
yeah, that's a clean one.
it.
Yeah. So you hit all the. On my first one, I missed one of them where that sort of vase nearly falls over, and then you have to shoot him. I had to shoot him on my one, I think it was, or Dale.
You had to shoot the sheriff.
Yes.
That's a song in there.
Yeah.
Indy shot the sheriff.
Actually, I think Dale shot him, and then he's got a gunshot wound throughout quite a lot of. Well, obviously he's got.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was on his shoulder or something, I think. And I think on my second one, I went back because I was achievement hunting, if I'm honest. I wanted to get an achievement, so I went back to get the. Yeah, I know, I'm terrible. I wanted to get the clean escape achievement, so I went back to get that, and I accidentally messed it up a second time. But that time I also got. I had to, with Jay, he had to hit him on the back of the head, I think it was, and then they escaped together. Because that's one of the things as well. I was noticing Jay and Dale. The more you do things like, obviously, say I don't know if he had the bit where he talks about what would you do with the money, and then Dale goes, "Oh, I'd spend it on a car." If you also go, "Oh yeah, I'd buy a car as well," and then they're bonding more and stuff like that, and then he's like, "Yeah, you're not so bad," or after all, you're getting on quite well. I just quite like the little things like that, if you know what I mean. That there's little subtleties and bonding and things that make the relationship grow between the characters as well going on. Other than the big decisions, obviously. And but anyway, like you have to hit him on the head, or you get the clean escape, obviously, and that's another thing. Don't know what you guys had on that bit.
Yeah, I got caught. Dante caught Dale for me.
Oh, right.
And then
did you have to hit him on the head or something?
Yeah.
Yep.
Then we removed the head and then got away.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Did all three of the brothers get back to the motel in your playthrough, Psychonauts, even though you got caught?
No, he got caught, but Jay came up and smacked him back of the head.
Saved
cool.
him,
And
basically.
then they made the escape after that. Yeah.
We were able to make the escape.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, I think I just got through plain clean.
Nice. Yeah.
Just both sneaked out.
Yeah, I got that on the
Stuck.
third go, so as I like to say for the achievement. But and then they want to go and get some burgers or something because they're on the clean escape. Like, let's go and get some burgers, man. Sorry, that's my American accent. But yeah, no, that's there's little things like that, lots of details and stuff. But yeah, so back to the old motel situation. I mean, there's some really meaty stuff which I actually spoke to Scott about as well, which I want to definitely talk about. You probably know what I'm talking about, Scott, don't you, with regards to, you know, with the granddad and stuff like that. But I think we'll save that maybe for a little bit.
Yeah, I guess that's the real big open question at the end. And,
Yeah, exactly.
I picked up on very little
Yeah.
on what you picked up, especially because he didn't get knocked out in mine, and that was like a really big moment that kind of maybe tells you a little bit more about his story.
Well, did y'all pick up on it early on when, like, they were like, "You look familiar," and he
Yeah.
was like, "Nope, people
There
just
you
say I
go.
look like Clint Eastwood or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that."
it. That's one of them. Yeah.
You know, and then he walks out the door and he kind of looks up at the sky like, You know, I was like, okay, there's something up with the grandpa. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even
And
every
then he
little
puts on a hat and tries to kind of hide his face a little bit.
That's
you know?
it. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And he says when he arrives at the motel, he's like, seen one motel, seen them all, or something like that. And that's alluding to, we're going to get into it, I know, might as well. It looks like we're getting into it. Obviously, the fact that I'll say about one of the ones where do any of you guys, firstly, actually, did you have the moment where the granddad got hit on the head in your playthrough?
no.
No. Okay, cool. So that was one where instead
I think
of...
Psychonauts did.
Oh, you did Psycho. Cool, nice.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Awesome. So I wonder if you picked up on it as well then. But that depends on what... Did you get let... You know, when you could get one out of the hostage situation, did you get Jim out at that point, or did you get someone else out?
Yeah, I chose exchanged with Jim because he was bleeding.
Yes. Right, interesting. So do you remember by any chance what was said when he walked out after he'd been hit on the head when he was walking out?
He's like...
Don't worry if you can't.
He doesn't say how he knows him.
Yes.
He just says that we need to talk at some other point. He's like, we'll talk later. There's things I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I think I don't know if that's a different bit that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of basically he comes out and he's like hiding his face from the sheriff, and he's like, "I gotta be careful he doesn't recognize me or something." But the big one though is when, there's a lot of big ones, but this one's the real juicy one I think. When he gets hit on the head, and he wakes up, and he says, Vince says to him, "Do you know where you are?" As check, obviously, if he's all right. And the granddad says, I can't even remember the name of the hotel, but in the Merry Fiddler Hotel, wherever it is. I don't know where that came from, but he says a different name for the motel, and then Vince says, "No, we're in the oh my god, I forgot the name of it as well. The whatever the name of the real hotel name is," and basically someone else then says, "No, that was the old name of the hotel." So he had been there before, basically.
There's a dream, I believe, isn't it? That's what it's called currently. And
the Desert Dream.
Desert
Dream is what it's actually called now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when he wakes up, he says it was called something else, which it used to be called. One of them says, "Oh, that was the old name," and but actually then basically he had just been knocked out, and like there's got to be something going on there. Which I've got my own speculations of who the granddad is. I don't know if you had any suspicions about him at all, guys, of what he was linked to or anything like that before I blow out my.
I think he's Jay's dad.
Jay's dad.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay.
So
really?
I feel as well.
I think so because you find out in my playthrough that Jay was not.
He's not
actually related to the other.
They're not blood.
And it was his aunt's baby.
Yeah, it's aunt. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and
exactly
I don't think he knew who the father was or something like that.
That's
so.
it. And did you notice how much they look alike as well?
Yeah, exactly.
The two.
Oh man, I didn't pick up on any of this. I obviously had that bit where Tyler sort of blurted out that he wasn't sort of a blood relative.
Yeah.
And I did pick up on some of the things like when he was hiding his face and when Paul thought he recognized him. But I never put those two together and thought that was the case. But I was quite suspicious of the grandpa, mainly because when he basically admits to lying about having cancer or a tumor, specifically, I think he mentions.
Well, also, Paul, was friends with Sharon.
Yes.
Right, in the past, and he had a thing for her, and Paul would have been very familiar with that whole family. And he's the one that thought he had recognized Jim, right?
Yes, he was.
So that whole thing together, kind of is what put together for me that possibly he could be Jay's dad. So that's just hypothetical. We don't know.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to find out.
I think there's got to be some
cliffhanger, don't they?
They definitely do. Yeah, the ending is definitely interesting as well. but yeah, like it's, you know, those I love the way they've done that. Let's be honest, a little sub story thing going on that makes you sort of work for it a little bit. But yeah, it just seems right. I think, you know, with Jay, he's not really like the family either, as he's different. And yeah, but so who did you said it was? Who is it you thought he was, Mav? He's obviously Jay's dad, but was he any relation? Was he an uncle or anything like that? Was you saying? Sorry. To any of the, is it weirdness going on there, or where did he come from? It's just Jay's dad that you thought, yeah, not any connection otherwise.
Yeah, I think something happened there in the past, because they allude to the fact that he had a rough past.
Yeah.
Right. And he was always on the run, and he did stuff with, you know, possibly drugs and things like that as well, which also we know that whole Holt family was involved with, and his dad was a gambler and lost money as well. So I think there's a good chance that it's all connected together with that family and him. And then somehow, you know, Jim and his aunt, you know, would have been the ones that had Jay. And then when I think she died or something, I can't remember. Yeah. I think there's going to be a whole potential story with that.
Hopefully,
we find out what happened to his actual mom.
Gotta be.
You know,
could make a prequel out of that, couldn't they? Just to go back and.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, Jay's what? Like, for me, in my story, he's sitting there in the country, in the wilderness, and in a cabin, and, you know, he's got this. He knows that the family he grew up with is not who he really thought they were, right? And he knows he has a different whole past that he knows nothing about. So I could see in the future, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go figure this out and discover and kind of go on a journey to try and figure out his past. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I would find that very interesting if they went that route.
Yeah, no, that's great. As you've just mentioned where you ended up, let's jump all the middle stuff, and let's just talk about the endings. We can go back and talk about some of the other chapters in a second. But I'm interested, as you've talked about your ending, Mav, if you wanted to elaborate on it, or should we see what everyone else has ended up on their endings?
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of looking at my chapter 6. Like, you know, I had chosen to sympathize with Jay as Zoe, because at the end of the day, in my playthrough, Jay had helped her a lot. Like, he's helped make sure that she was safe, right? And then, you know, Jay's stayed in Canada, so there's 5 different options there. I'm curious what the heck the other ones are, but on mine, he remained in Canada.
Yeah.
Right? Vince opened a flight school. Michelle's dead. Tyler was arrested. And this was an interesting thread that happened when you were sitting there as Jay, like under arrest. It happened in my playthrough, and I was being questioned by the FBI agent, I think it was. Yeah. And I was like, he was doing a great job. It actually put myself in the shoes of somebody that was being questioned, because like he's like sitting there trying to sympathize with you. You feel like you can trust him, and I actually feel like I got there, because I thought I was like, yes, I just need help or whatever. You know, I took the cop as being genuine, and it turned out, nope, he wasn't. So then
he was a dick.
Yeah, then I escaped as Jay, right? But that's a real tactic that they use, and I fell for it, right? So I escaped as Jay right at that point after that, and that's how he escaped the wilderness. And Sharon and Paul left the country together, and they're sipping Mai Tais on the beach somewhere.
Wow, okay. Oh my God. Honestly, your ending is so different to mine.
It's actually really similar to mine. Mav's quite on the same page as mine, actually. Yeah, a lot of the stuff. Yeah. Go on, you say yours though, Scott.
So in mine, I'll come to Jay last, because this is actually one of the big open plot points. So I'll come to that at the end. But in my playthrough, Dale's dead. Tyler's in prison due to the death sentence. Sharon's in prison because Paul warned Dante. Even though I didn't like Dante, I really disliked Sharon as well. And I thought, well, look, they're cousins. I think they were. So I thought, Sharon's fucked Paul over in the past before, obviously, and she's trying to manipulate Paul. So I thought that was a little bit of justice.
She did seem very manipulative in that. I still thought I'd go on holiday though.
And actually, this is what actually I'll come on to Dante in a second.
Okay.
So then in my playthrough, Jay ends up in prison, and him and Vanessa part ways before he tries to make a dash for Canada. And then Jay is due to be to get the death penalty, and Zoe finally meets with him. They have a conversation, and he asks Zoe to be there at the when he's actually gets the lethal injection. And then the very last second, the guy who's about to administer the lethal injection gets a phone call, and they call off the execution,
Right.
and that's where it ends.
Oh my
Obviously,
God.
until the last bit, which I'm sure we'll come on to get, because I think everyone might get that final bit.
Yeah.
So that's how it ends. So from my perspective, the first thing was like, who the bloody hell made that call, and why did they call the
Maybe
lethal
his
injection
brother,
off?
Tyler, maybe.
But Tyler was already in prison. He was in prison. He was due the death sentence. I think Jay said when he was talking to Zoe the week after, which I didn't quite understand why Jay got a tougher sentence than Tyler. Personally, I guess it's because he was on the run for a bit. So yeah, so mine and Michelle was still alive at the very end. So yeah, mine ended up being very, very different to yours, Mav. Like completely
crazy.
different.
Amazing. That's interesting. That is very different indeed. Yeah, that's like we were saying in the chat, wasn't it? That was completely opposite to mine. But I seem to be a bit close to Mav's though. But let's hear what Psychonauts has ended up with.
So my playthrough, how it ended at the very end. Let me get back and see. Zoe saw, the mysterious guy. He ran after him, but it was a innocent bystander. And I went to go visit Jay. I sympathized with him, but I did not comfort him. And his fate was pretty much I just remained in Canada. Vince and Michelle's fate. He opened up a flight school. She escaped uninjured, and they stayed married. And Tyler was arrested. That was it. I didn't.
So did Sharon escape with Paul in your playthrough Psychonauts?
Yeah, Sharon's fate. They escaped drinking Mai Tais like mad.
Right. Yeah. So what happened to Jay and yours? Sorry, did I miss that? What was Jay?
Jay, he just remained in Canada.
Okay. In our cabin, was that? Or?
Yeah, just remained there. So
yeah,
there's like 5 different outcomes, and I just got the remained in Canada outcome.
Cool.
But before you guys went to Canada, because I was the only one who ended up in prison, I think, which considering I sympathized with Jay, I didn't like. Did you guys get the option just before, right at the end, where you were approached by a park ranger?
Yes.
So I didn't have. You mean when you're running across, all the countryside or whatever you call it out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that bit, and you're with Vanessa at that point, are you? Is that right?
So I didn't have Vanessa at that point.
Okay, right, cool.
Because me and Vanessa parted way before he got to kind of the border.
So for me, I don't think I had the FBI guy or the park ranger or anything like. I had Vanessa's dad. Vanessa's dad was after us. Although he might was someone else. Was that the same as you, Mav? Or?
Well, yeah, I was on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, that's right.
And Vanessa's dad and the FBI was there.
Oh, the FBI was there as well.
It was a moment of jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
don't jump or jump with her.
That's the same as me. Yeah.
And I chose to jump without her because I was trying to make a decision that I think she could possibly die if she jumped.
Right.
And I felt like that was Jay's only chance because he's going to get either away or he's going to go to jail. Right. And I felt like if he went to jail, he's probably never going to see the light of day again. So for me at that point, it was like trying to do the right thing. It was like trying to protect her because she was innocent. You know what I mean? She had nothing to do with that. And she was kind of a clueless, girl that was just trying to get back at daddy and kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was like not worth her risking her life to jump into a frozen river or whatever it was to just to get away. And I felt like that was making the right decision at that point. And it ended up working out, I think, for the best, because I think he alluded to her fate as well, where she ended up working at some kind of like law firm or something.
Oh,
right. So maybe that is how the the injection got stopped, possibly.
Yeah. So, in the conversation with Zoe and Jay, I'm pretty sure Jay mentioned that Vanessa was working in like TV or media.
Oh, interesting.
Not in law.
On my one, she on the jump bit, I jumped with her, and we both jumped, and she made it. We made it together, and then log cabined it together, and then she decided to move on after 6 years, and which is that I found out that when Zoe came to visit, and
interesting.
Yeah, Zoe came to visit Jay in the log cabin to have the conversation all about face up to things, because Jay had been mailing her for months and months and stuff. Yes, then she decided to come. But yeah, Vanessa had gone back into the normal world to going to TV or something. Yeah, same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So mine and your decision making process was quite similar with regards to Vanessa. I just kind of made that decision a bit earlier in the story, so she didn't actually get to the border with me. So Jay was at the border by himself.
Right.
And Vanessa went back to with her dad, and then when you get to basically the final main decision, I guess, which determines whether you end up in Canada or prison, he's approached by a park ranger.
Yeah.
And he just appears like an old guy, and they're just having a conversation.
Right. Yeah.
And it's kind of similar to the FBI.
Right.
One where you kind of having this conversation, and it seems to be going well, and then all of a sudden the ranger kind of just explains like, look, we know there's a guy on the run. There's a car being abandoned at the bottom. We know that somebody who's wanted is 18-year-old, and he kind of says, look, you know, we know it's you, just hand yourself in. And then the two options that you get at that point are to either surrender, or because the ranger's basically blocking your ability to jump. So you've got to take him out in order to jump in at that point.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, like, similar to you, Mav, actually, but with the ranger rather than Vanessa. It's like, if I take him out with me when I try to jump, then he's probably going to die, and I didn't want any more blood on Jay's hands.
Yep.
So at that point I surrendered, and then, like I say, he ended up in prison. But yeah, I really wanted, I just wish I want to know who made that call, because I know there's an ending where that call is not made, and I believe he's just executed.
Is there? Really?
From what I understand, yes. I'm really curious as to who makes that.
Yeah, because that might be something to do with your journey then, who you've interacted with or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's weird.
Did Dale die in your playthrough?
Yeah, he was shot by the sniper.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, like I say, I had zero sympathy for Dale and Tyler, so I was happy for him to get taken out pretty early.
Yeah.
See, I jumped with Vanessa.
Yep.
So
me too.
She did. Like we did the ecstasy at the dude's house, and
right.
But I didn't fight him. So I got the peaceful route. I went peaceful on that route.
Right.
But it's just interesting hearing you guys, how it ended for you, and how Tyler, he just was arrested for me. He didn't get executed or anything. Like Sharon, like I at first didn't believe her, and then I was like, you know what, he's just like, oh, let's go and whatnot. So it's just interesting on how you guys' outcome is way different than mine.
Yeah.
Like, just looking at this tree, man, it's just it plays, especially like there's like just certain spots that you go and it just like the tree just ends and it doesn't even continue. There's like this whole thing like where it says tracked by cops.
Yeah, seeing that right now actually. There's loads of options there, isn't there?
And then there's like this one, it splits. And, and I don't know what that.
Look at that one. Do you mean the one at the bottom there?
Yeah.
If you go down, and then it's like a million different routes in there.
Yeah. There's just like a bunch of. I'm like, well, how did it get that? I've got to learn how to.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, there is so many different. It's amazing, really. They've actually made it a cohesive thing, even though it's so many options and stuff for routes.
There's multiple replay value in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I can't actually remember what happened to Tyler in mine. I'm just trying to work out. When did you find out what happened to Tyler in your playthroughs?
Tyler, I remember Tyler was when after I left him and when he fell out of the tree, because I stomped on his fingers.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. I was like,
yeah.
Hey, you know what? You're not my brother, and you've been trying to kill me. So F you, buddy. All right, you know.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. And
Sure.
then it was when they were, I think, talking and kind of like.
And they were like going to drive off without him at the end stuff.
Yeah, when I was talking with Zoe, I believe, is when Tyler's fate came up.
Oh, that's when you found out that right at the end. You mean, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Cool, that makes sense. Yeah, I think probably I just can't remember that. Let me just see if it actually says anything about that. Oh, here you go. Tyler became fugitive. That's right at the end of the game for me. So
Yeah. You
Is
know
that-
what's interesting is like Zoe is like the main character in this whole thing for me, but she's like the least interesting also because it's just like she almost seems like a vessel just for everything else to be told, right? Because it's like the story of what happened to her pretty much, right?
Yeah.
But it's like she's not particularly interesting herself at this point. I'm wondering if that's going to get more interesting as we have some more story to tell in the future because it seems like the way they left it off, there was about to be another
chapter.
They could
more
do a
things.
book 3 and 4 easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definite.
Now
But
it could.
how long did this take to make? This took them a long time, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's like 10 to 12 feature-length movie worths of scripts, if that makes any sense what I just said. You know, that the amount of script that it would take to make that many films, so it's probably a lot of work, if you know what I mean. Probably mostly in
It's
that
the
point.
first game as well, isn't it?
It's the first one as
They were
this
established-
studio.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. So looking at it, they were established in 2017.
Right. The lead of the studio, I think she used to work on like other
Yes, it was a Quantic Dream.
I say Quantic Dream. Yeah,
Heavy Rain and Beyond
yeah.
Two
So
Souls.
she's got a good pedigree on that front.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I know they've got to be coming out with some more stuff.
got to be. I reckon.
Now, I got a question. Like for me, Zoe, how it starts was Walker survived the desert dream, and I went to college. That's how my story played out.
I worked at a deli, but she got fired.
Yeah, I got that as
Oh,
well.
wow,
God,
okay.
Mav and me have really done quite similar, I think.
So Zoe was in college for me as well at the end. So she wasn't in college for.
No,
For
she got
India
a
Mav.
job at a deli, and she was like doing the whole swimming thing, you know. But her story at that point was she had a job at a deli, but she had actually lost it because of whatever reason, and she ended up calling her dad, you know, or they ended up talking and kind of having a conversation about that, and he just was like, you know, pick your head up, that kind of inspirational dad talk, right?
Yeah.
You know, she was having those nightmares and things like that as well. And, you know, for me, Jim was a big part of the end because Jim was where it kind of Zoe's kind of opened up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And, she was kind of looking after him and trying to take care of her grandfather. And he was, you know, had signs of dementia at this point. And
Yeah.
it seems like at the end there, he has a revelation. He remembers again,
Yeah.
you know, things that are important, and he feels like he needs to clear the air with Zoe while he can remember it. So that's where it's going to kind of get interesting now,
Yeah.
and we'll see where that goes because that's how they ended that on the cliffhanger is like, no, really,
Yeah.
you end it like that right now. I'm just about to get the goods, you know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me that it's like that didn't happen with Jim for y'all. It may happen with somebody else, you know.
Yeah.
I think the shooting at the end, I'm assuming you're referring to, Mav, where Jim gets shot at the very end. It's kind of the final scene, isn't it?
I don't think Jim got shot for me.
Did he not?
No, he
don't-
did not get shot
no.
from me either.
Mm-mm.
Indy, he got shot for you, didn't you? I'm not making that up.
Yeah, he did. I'm sure. He came a person with
Yeah,
that
so-
with the
Oh.
coat. The coat came in, and you don't see it physically, they do, but the door opens and then a gun goes off, and you don't see
and
Maya.
he's on the floor.
Is he on the floor? I can't remember that bit.
Maybe I just don't remember, like, because it was such a shock with how it ended or something. I'm trying to remember what happened, at the very end with Jim.
It at least insinuates that he's being shot at the end, or at least
Yeah.
it did in my playthrough. And that was kind of like I said, there's two big story plots in mind that remain unanswered, which is who called off Jay's execution and who shot Jim and why did he shoot Jim. And I guess the thing is, for me, that made that so confusing is because I didn't put the pieces together about Jim's past because of some of the bits of the story that I
Right.
missed. So that was completely open. I was like, right, who did that? Why would they do that? And I still honestly got no idea
Yes.
who that was. But I assumed that final scene, everyone got that. So that's interesting that
Yeah.
I
I think-
maybe you
I
don't
think-
get that depending on your playthrough.
I reckon probably everyone did, although maybe by the sounds of it not. I don't know, but I felt like that it was everyone as well. But who is it saying that they didn't get it? Mav, was it?
Yeah, I could be mistaken, but I don't. For some reason, it's not popping up in my head right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
remember. I just remember Zoe saw a mysterious figure and then
Yep.
was chasing the person,
Yep.
and then and she tackled just an innocent pedestrian.
Yeah,
and that
that's
was
right.
it. And
Yeah.
then it went her to visit Jay in Canada. There's a tree right there where it says saw a mysterious figure. There's another little tree blank right there. So I wonder if that's where he gets shot, and then it kind of goes like it's something with Zoe, because she went chasing the person that somebody came to kill him.
Yeah,
Now,
I
it could have
see that. Yeah.
With back at the hotel with the cop, he remembers him, so something could trigger that and get that outcome for you. Because like I said, I didn't get that outcome.
Yeah, interesting. I'm just going to shout out to Jamie Richardson in the chat, as well as Drew M, who's just put a comment in there. I'll just read that out. The governor calls off Jay's execution. It's sort of a plot device because it's the sort of thing that can happen to anyone, but almost never does. But it's a thing. There you go.
Yeah,
That's one thought.
But I guess the question is why.
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
did the governor call off? Because from what I read on that point is there are two endings with Jay in prison. One is where he gets executed, and one it gets called off. So
Yeah.
I guess what decisions did I make during that playthrough that led to him getting the execution called off, and who was it that called it off?
Yeah.
So I would like to maybe try to figure that out. Hopefully that's something. But it's interesting because how do they? This is again, I think a sequel would be really difficult to do because
Right.
everyone's playthrough is different. So you would have to
That's an interesting point,
have
actually.
an original playthrough.
Well-
So these games starts completely differently based on how you finished, the first one. And if you finished the game where Jay gets executed, then there's no further story for Jay after that, I guess.
What I was
So-
hoping is
but they could do a prequel, maybe.
They could do that. I was going to say they could do a continuation of your actual save file, though, as an extra book. That would be.
I mean, that would be cool. I mean, that would be. Imagine if they did that way. It's a game, and the game starts completely differently based on your previous playthrough. Never mind.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
it's-
I think they could do it. I think it could happen.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
might even
it
be
could
what
be.
they're thinking.
Yeah, they could do that because if like for me, Jay stays in Canada, so they can if people go that route, they got a whole thing with Vanessa, so they can if Jay's execution was stayed, then it just plays out what happens to him during prison. So maybe the cop knows people in the prison, and Jay dies anyways because he has a prison pays a prison inmate to go kill him or something like that. So there's different. Again, here's the branching, and our thoughts are just going to possibilities, so they can start the game however, but unless if he was killed, then Jay's story just won't open up in the DLC, which then it could just branch off to something else, like his mom finding out that he died. And that's another thing, because I thought she was going to help him come from Canada to Mexico or Cancun or wherever they are. So there's that whole aspect. No, if he's alive, now she going to go get him and bring him down.
Yeah.
Or does she just let him rot?
Yeah, I mean, she did speak to Paul about that, didn't? I think there was a conversation around. I can't remember who exactly it was with, but there was a conversation where it's like, "Look, if we do this, you'll never see Jay again."
Yeah, that's true. He did. Paul said that. Yeah. Paul said if we do.
I just refreshed my memory on the ending, right? While watching a little clip, and I remember that end scene now, where like the hooded figure had gone into that room with Jim, and she comes home, and the incident. So yes, the gunshot went off. I remember that happening now.
Cool.
But it was so fast and like such a shocker at the end.
Yeah,
like,
definite.
I remember how it happened, but yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I think it is on everyone's. It drew in the chat saying like, on my first playthrough, I don't think I got the grandpa getting shot, but then I did on every other playthrough. So now I'm wondering if I just blinked and missed it the first time. So probably a similar situation to what you just said there, Mav.
It's not like an after credits scene or anything, is it? I don't remember it being, but is it something that people could miss if they think they finished the game and just close it down?
I think it's just because it ends abruptly right after that, and it's like,
it does.
You know, like it's just like, whoa, you don't really have time to process it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like that's the last thing, so there's no consequence after it, so it's harder to remember that situation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe he does die. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't actually see him though, do you? Is that right? You just looked at it. You don't see him lying there or anything, do you?
You just a gun goes off.
Yeah, that's
so
what I
they're
thought,
leaving it open ended right now. Maybe they don't know how they were gonna play off of that.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I mean, like for how, when you say Jay was let off from getting killed on your one, Scott, like, I don't know, maybe could it be his dad or something like that? Like, it's not his real dad, obviously, or maybe his real dad.
I was gonna ask you about Bear, actually. Ask you all,
we haven't spoken about him
there's obviously, there's one, obviously, I think he's kind of, there's only one big decision involving Bear, I believe.
Oh, a really big one, yeah.
Yeah. But based on him, I wouldn't expect him to be involved in that, because obviously he's just a bit of a loser, unfortunately.
Yeah, true.
But, and actually, this scene was pretty rough. The story at this point got pretty dark. When I think when the chapter starts, it even warns, it's like, look, this
it does.
This scene does contain upsetting scenes or story regarding suicide, which was obviously I didn't see that coming. So I guess just a warning for anyone who might be triggered by that sort of thing. There may be some discussion around suicide, so maybe skip ahead a few minutes. But what was your decision with that particular moment? Because it's obviously he was an absolute douche. Did you save him or not?
I saved him, yeah.
Did anybody not save him?
I did not save him.
Really?
Who was it?
Bear, the dad.
Yeah, the dad. Yeah.
Oh,
when he goes to hang himself.
I saved him.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that didn't save him?
Maybe.
I think so.
I just let you know what, because I'm there. Because he's like, you gotta go murder the freaking hit guy. So I didn't question it. I did it because he's at first I thought he was my dad, because they were So I'm like, all right, fine. So I killed the son of a bitch, or bury him alive, and then me and him were talking, and then Dad gets all weepy, and then he hangs himself, and then it's like, save him or not? And I'm like, you know what? You go ahead. The family would be better without you, because that's what my thought mentality was. Like, well, Mom would be happy. My brothers would be, they'll be upset that he died, but it's just like, it's better for the family. So now this is another thing that Jay went through that he held back, and he didn't, say, hey, at least I didn't say, hey, I let Dad die, or it's like all I did was I found him dead.
Right.
I didn't say that I could have saved him.
Right.
Because who
is that
knows
what, so
what
that's
that
what
could have
happens. That's what happens after, is it? You say that to them, or
Yeah.
yeah,
So
right.
it's
I
like,
see.
yeah, like I walked in I found Dad like this.
Right.
I was like this whole boohoo moment, but deep down, here's Jay's like, I let him hang though.
Yeah. I mean, you know why I saved him?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it was a little selfish. I didn't know if like it was gonna come back around where it was gonna need him in the future, and he would owe me something. You know what I mean? So
Right.
at the time, it turned out to not really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
As
it,
far as
it,
really
it only
goes so
impacts
far,
it doesn't really impact the story longer
Mm-hmm.
term, because I think he's only referenced later on as being in hospital, still recovering. I don't
Yeah.
think they actually go into. Correct me if I'm
Unless-
wrong, but I don't think they go into any detail about what happens with him. I think the last you hear is was still recovering in the hospital.
Unless he's the one that saved him after all, then it did impact it.
Yeah,
But I doubt it is.
How did he do that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So,
I doubt it.
so
I think it's
yeah,
more likely
it's-
to be his real dad that to have done something like that. I don't know. You know what I mean?
but if Mav's right, that's Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
Now here's a thing that if they do bring a book 3, book 4, and they continue the story, now like my playthrough, if something does involve Bear, he's dead in my story. So if
Yeah, that's true.
if he's one of those things that I kind of need him, like, oh shit, like maybe Bear tries to break out Tyler, or like if they transport him to a different jail and then Bear rescues Tyler, but that
Yeah.
doesn't happen because in my book story, Bear's dead.
Yeah. Yes, it is
So
a hard
you just got an
task.
entire character that's just going
Yeah.
to be missing from your story. If that's,
Yeah.
if that's the case.
Yeah. I wonder if they have thought about this. So they might have thought,
Well, you gotta imagine like trying to continue off of this
It's
story,
hard, yeah.
right? With everybody's, we already talked about how many differences there are with everybody's fate.
yeah.
It's hard to imagine them using a lot of these same characters in the future of what they're going to tell. I would
Yeah,
imagine that they would take new characters and tell
Yeah.
more of a story of the history of everything, as opposed to try and branch off from all of these points, right? Now,
Yeah.
Zoe, you could do something with that, right? Because regardless of what happened, she's still kind of in the same state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so like for me, Sharon and Paul are like in another country. Tyler's in jail.
Yeah.
Jay's in Canada, but then in your playthrough, Scott, Jay is in jail still, even though he avoided the death penalty, and I don't even know what happened to Sharon on yours. Like, are they? She
was in
died, or-
prison. She was in prison as
too,
well.
so
Yeah. So
I can imagine, like, okay, all these different threads, being able to continue those stories for all these different people, and I feel like some of the characters' kind of fates were meant to end with this.
Yeah.
And where we're gonna find out more of the history of Two Rock and the history of what the importance of that town and what's been happening through more stories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think they had a grand plan before they done this? You think they were thinking about DLC and they knew which characters were going to sort of not be used even if they
Move
didn't die?
on, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're still worthwhile of telling their fate, because in like any good story, you need to have a fate for the primary characters that are in it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so they did a good job giving different people like different fates for their stories, but I don't think those are all necessarily gonna be relevant to the future of this franchise or whatever they do with this going forward.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because you
Yeah.
definitely know Jay and Zoe and Vince are the 3 major characters in the story. If they do a sequel or a DLC, I should say, a DLC, they can continue off any of those. Like with Vince, they could do the airplane. Because for me, he's
Mile High Club.
yeah,
Sorry.
he's a
Spin-off.
plane pilot, and so it depends how they go about it. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just really it's just with us just sitting here, just talking about it and just going over with our different gameplays. You know, just imagine what they're trying to go through. Like, okay, how do we continue this if they do book 3, book 4?
Yeah.
Because how it ended, it screams there is a book 3, book 4 coming.
Definitely, yeah.
To me, it does, and I wonder if they're going to have a different, if that's going to be a whole different set of books with Jay and Zoe and tied in somehow, like they're just laced into the story, like they met Jay in Canada, like the different set of characters, they run into Jay,
Yep.
they find him, and then that's a whole thing, that's a whole narrative. Or with Zoe, how does she with all these demons that she has, does she crack, does she stay alive, those things. And it's just, now it's like, okay, what are they going to bring out? Because again, it's really, really a riveting story.
Oh, definitely.
It's really good. Like, just like what Drew M said, like when the family found out when he committed suicide, they could have easily done a believable accident when they were fixing the barn. He could have slipped and fell and broke his neck or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they could have got the money, so that could have been a whole thing. But the story would have been different if they did that. So, it would have just been interesting.
Definitely, yeah. Well said, buddy. Yeah, like again, Drew saying in the chat, and like you guys have said, prequel is a good option potentially as well. But also, I mean, whether they go,
they do go back though. There's a few time skips, isn't there, Andy, where they do go back to different to points early in the story. So you'd have to go back even further than that. Maybe it's like Jim. DLC, and you're going back maybe 15, 20 years. Because they do obviously do a few time skips in the game that would maybe make that a little bit weird, because they've already explored in some respects that particular period of time in the story. Maybe they go back a little further. Maybe they flesh out like Bear's story a bit more, because he's kind of a bit part character.
Sounded like you said Bez then. Sorry, it sounded like you said Bez from the Happy Mondays. Didn't know he was in it.
Maybe Jim and Bear were like besties.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, some people have said that they're brothers. What do you think of that?
Brother-in-laws?
Brothers.
Maybe.
Is a speculation on on the website knocking about. They look quite alike, don't they?
Oh, okay.
Who's that?
Jim and Bear.
It's possible, like, well, but would that make my theory still possible there, because it was his aunts?
That's where I was getting out a little bit earlier on, if you see what I mean. But then
that would mean brothers marrying sisters.
Yeah, but that's when it was a bit weird. But then you Americans get up to some weird stuff. Not saying you guys, but
we've all played 12 minutes, haven't we? So things get weird.
Maybe it was his aunt, based off of marriage, not based off of it being her sister. Right, so maybe it was his aunt, because it was Jim as the father.
Could be.
Who knows? Who knows? It's all adding up now. I like these fan theories.
Exactly, They do definitely have a bit of a similar vibe. They're both.
Let's play Who's Jay's Daddy?
I mean, like you said earlier, like Zoe's kind of the moral, like the center of the story. But I definitely felt like it was Jay for me. In a sense, was that? What do you feel about that? You see, like who you
very much the same.
His story was more interesting, because like Zoe, in the first aspect when everything was happening, she was just a little girl. She didn't really make decisions for herself or anything like that, right? And then now she's dealing with the trauma of everything, through her adulthood. But we haven't really had her go on her own journey yet, except to go to talk to Jay. So I think in order for her to be really truly fleshed out and interesting, would be go on that journey of what happened or something. Maybe she goes back to try and figure out what happened to Jim, and because she overheard them mention 2 rocks at the end of that, before the gun went off, So maybe that's going to cause her to do more investigation and confront her past, So and then again, like you said, I like the idea of going back and maybe she goes back and tries to dig stuff up, and then they show flashbacks to Jim when he was like 15, 20 years ago, and then you can kind of like tell both of those stories, and everything starts unraveling. Right?
Definitely. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I think there's a lot of potential solid thoughts there, I would say. And the thing as well is that I think there's a lot of scope in general for this whole. Well, another thing they could do obviously is do a whole other story completely, if you know what I mean. Like, have you guys watched Fargo by any chance, to get the series Fargo? Obviously, there's a film as well.
Watch the movie.
The movie was first, then they did a series as well,
Yeah.
and each of the series, which they're amazing, but they all focused on different stories. And I know the writers of this and the makers of this are very influenced by Fargo. They've mentioned and things like that. So maybe they're thinking of something like that. But I would like to see something more on this one first, potentially, because it definitely feels like a big cliffhanger, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I do kind of wonder whether they'll just leave it like that, though. I think there is a good possibility that it is a one and done.
It could be.
Just like, I know it's kind of completely different, but when stories kind of end that way, I always think of Inception.
Right.
The final scene of Inception, where kind of the whole point of that final scene is it's completely open to interpretation. If you recall the film, he's got the spinning top and it kind of has a little wobble, but it still spins. And I think Christopher Nolan spoke about it afterwards, and he said kind of like that was done on purpose. It's so you can interpret whether that was sort of real or not. And I kind of get that sense here where maybe, because there is all this discussion, there is all the speculation where they're just thinking maybe that was the intention. It's one and done, and they want people to have these sorts of discussions.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a story finished. They want that ending to be ambiguous.
Yeah.
That was maybe the thought from the beginning. So you can make your own mind up as to how the story's linked based on your playthroughs.
Definitely, yeah. No, that's definitely a good shout. That's a strong chance that could be the case. It leaves it open to the interpretation of the viewer. There's so many different, again, moral levels to it, isn't there? You draw your own part out of it, which, like with someone looking at it one way, another person playing the game will feel differently about it, and that's the beauty of it. It's multi-layered in a sense, but there's a good chance of that as well. So interesting stuff.
Can I touch on Dante with you guys?
Definitely.
Because this is probably one part of the story that I wasn't too sure about, which is how his story kind of it doesn't really end or wrap up, I don't think, in any sort of meaningful way in my playthrough. So in my playthrough, obviously you've got that decision with Paul. I chose to warn Dante. She gets sent to prison, and then there doesn't seem to be any consequence for Dante that I can recall throughout the end of the story, and it's obvious that he's up to some shady shit.
Right.
But that kind of thread doesn't kind of go anywhere. I don't recall in my playthrough. There's kind of no repercussions for anything to do with his black book, what that whole thing was about. So that's a kind of another entire plot line that kind of doesn't get wrapped up.
I think it's going to happen more in the future stories, and for me, like it's just shaping up to be more about Bear, Jim, and Dante, and like some kind of history potentially in the past or something that has led to this moment, right? And we don't know what that is right now, but we know that Bear was dealing a lot with illegal dealings, right? With gambling and stuff like that. Yeah. We knew that Dante was taking bribes, right? From all the local businesses and maybe protecting some of these bad businesses. And we know that Jim has a history with similar type activity in the past as well, and that he was in that area, right? So people recognize Jim from the past as well, and we know that Dante has ascended to where he is potentially because of his dealings as well. So again, I think all of this happening now and all these family members, I mean the Holt boys, Zoe, Vince, Michelle, everybody is starting to feel the wrath of the dealings that have been going on in that town for a long time, and potentially it started with Dante, Bear, and Jim. Bear being more of like a random kind of this guy gambling debts and stuff like that, right? And maybe Jim too, but like I think it's all wrapped up because that guy, the hitman type dude, that came by there that was trying to warn the they're trying to get the money, from the
Yeah.
whole family.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's like legitimate crime family type stuff going on there, right? In this little town in Arizona. So something definitely is not right with the whole town and situation. And knowing that Jim did have a past there as well, kind of makes me think that all of it could potentially wrap up with some kind of history, And I think we're going to learn more about that in the future.
Definitely. Yeah, that's good. That bit of the game is quite interesting, actually. I don't know what happened with you with the hitman thing. Did you bury him and all that stuff? What happened with you?
I refused,
and
then
you?
he ended up
running away.
Bear ended up shooting him, I think, in the grave, and then burying him or something like that.
Oh, okay. Right, cool.
Yeah.
Also, he got killed in your playthrough, Mav.
Yeah, he's buried. Yeah,
so
but
he
refused.
escaped. He escaped in mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he escaped in my first one too.
so then how that impacted the story was, although Bear was in hospital, the family still had to repay Bear's debts. But the guy basically said because Jay let him off, he's going to give them time. And then that's basically how the story begins. That's why they decide to go and rob the sheriff, basically, because they've been given time to try and get some money in order to pay off Bear's gambling debts. But I would assume that he is linked to Dante in some way that I don't think's really explored in the story.
Right. Also, so for my playthrough, like I had given him the watch, right, to buy time.
Yep.
And then then Bear went to go get it back, and he went to go get Jay randomly, and he's like, "Hey Jay, come with me." And then you find him with the body. Well, it turns out the body, he wasn't actually dead.
Yep, that's
he thought he was dead, but he ended up waking up in the grave before he gets buried. And it's like, and he's like, "Here, son, do kill him." And I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna kill him." And then so Bear ends up doing it, and then burying him. And then how that came back to, and this was before Bear tried to kill himself, also, right? So how it ended up reflecting in the story for me was when Jay was being questioned by the FBI agent. And they were, they were trying to play nice to him and stuff. And as answering the questions, they brought up the fact that they found that body. And they were asking if he killed him and stuff. And Jay was like, "No, it was my dad." You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it kind of, that's how that all wrapped up. So I don't know what the consequences are there for that now. But that's, they did interweave it into the storyline later on, right? It was very interesting.
Yeah, that is definitely interesting, that bit. What about you, Psychonauts, on that part?
Yeah, no, I didn't question it. I buried that guy alive for the family.
Love it.
I kept the watch. I did not, because the guys that give me the watch, and I was like, nope.
Brilliant.
This is my daddy's watch. No. But I buried him, and then my dad hung himself, and I was like, I'm not helping you. So, it went dark. I went dark.
Yeah, man, I love it.
Because it was like, I think Bear even questioned it. That I did not question it. He's like, "You got to do it," and I'm like, "All right." No, seriously. I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, well, what the hell is this?" So it was very interesting how that all played out, because that was just really messed up how you just buried that dude.
Yeah.
And, that was, I like this game a lot.
It's amazing, yeah. I love it. Yeah, that scene was quite just like my one. He got away. I was just quite comedic in a way. The way he scuttled away. But it's just a brilliant scene, though. I love it. There's so many cool moments in this game. But yeah, he escaped on my one, and then a lot of same as what Mav exactly what you just said, and then he woke up and then escaped because I must have said no, I think, on that point. So I refused to bury him. Yes, I was checking that now. And then it just seems like that's came home with Bear, so he probably wasn't happy with me. I can't remember what happened. He must have just done it himself, if I remember rightly on that bit. And then we got that nasty scene, and I saved him basically. Yeah, which didn't deserve to die, even though he's a terror. But that's debatable, isn't it? But yeah, I thought it was a bonding. It could be a chance to bond, save his life, and then maybe we build some bridges. Maybe I was thinking optimistically.
just bonding with your dad over the non-murder of the loan shark.
The moment before, yeah, exactly. You got positive comes. It's like a flower growing out of the rough. You never know. Beautiful stuff. Okay, so let's wind this up, shall we, guys? It's been an absolute blast. Let's have a little final thoughts about what you thought of the game as a whole, maybe in a little kind of sense of, if in a more of a review perspective. You don't have to give a score or anything like that, but just let us know what your thoughts are on the whole of this game, and we'll wind things up there. But yeah, Mav, my friend, what was your thoughts as a whole? I know you've probably given quite a lot throughout this time, but just a little bit of a summary on As Dusk Falls, my friend.
Yeah, fantastic game. Like I said, a huge surprise for me for this year. Something that I was not excited about because of the way it was shown beforehand. But guess what? Game Pass prevailed. I would not necessarily have bought it, but because I played it, I ended up loving it, right? So super happy that this kind of game was actually now pushed as much as it was, right? Because it's very different.
Yeah, definitely.
And it got a lot of limelight, and I think that it deserves even more at this point. And I want this to keep going.
Yeah.
So I hope they can maybe figure out a way to streamline the process as much as possible. This is their first game. But I'm curious when the next content will come. I'm going to definitely be looking forward to it. And I want the story of Two Rocks to continue, and maybe potentially in the future, I cannot wait for a new game, in this same style.
Definitely.
Completely different story made by Interior Night. I'll be definitely looking forward to anything that they create now, and I hope that they keep this format going forward for different stories, because I feel like this is a book that tells itself, that really is its own story, and you could do the same style in many different books and go a lot of different directions. So super happy with it, and I can't recommend it enough.
Nice, very nice, my friend. Well said. Yeah, and that's a great shout. I'd love to see the same. Hopefully that will be on the cards. I mean, they're obviously with Xbox as well, so that's nice. It's going to be in Game Pass. It's a good format, good place for it to be, I think, for a lot of people to check it out. And this is the kind of content that works well for a subscription service too, which is good too. But yeah, fantastic stuff today, Mav. We'll loop back around to stay by at the end, but let's just get people's takes, and we will get Psychonauts next. I know you've loved this game, my friend. Give us a final thoughts, my buddy.
Yeah, when the credits rolled on this game, I was just like, wow, this is a game that everybody just needs to play.
Yeah.
Put aside whatever, just play the game, give it a shot, actually put effort into, think out the story and what, however you want to play it. If you want to play it through somebody else's eyes, your own eyes, it just needs to be played.
Definitely.
I give it for me, it's like an 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Because it was just a great story. It just really plays out really well. I like it, and it's just hearing you guys talk about your playthrough. It's just like, now I want to play and get a different outcome in some of these
awesome
plots, and it's really, really good. If you guys just listening right now, pick up this game, play it. It's in Game Pass. If it's it's a no-brainer. Just play it.
Definitely.
And it's like, I'm like Matt said, I am waiting for the sequel or whatever game they come out with, because Interior Night has done a phenomenal job. Now I see why Microsoft spent a little bit of time on this at E3. I get it.
Yeah, definitely.
First, we were like, why is it? Why As Dusk Falls? Why? And now we see why. And I'm like,
absolutely.
Okay, the game first. I just hope that they keep keep this going, because I don't want the. And I know it's up to us to let other people know, but I just love to see this game really just flourish and everyone really getting a chance to play it.
That's awesome, buddy. Love that passion. Well said. Yeah, great to hear that you enjoyed it so much. And yeah, well, like I say, we'll look back around in a second, but I love those takes, Psychonauts, buddy. And Scott, my friend, what are your final thoughts on this? Very interested to hear, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine we've all come out of this with really, really positive experiences, whether we were looking forward to it going in or not. We've all come out with very similar thoughts and feelings, and that's despite the fact that we've obviously got very different playthroughs and very different endings, which I think is a testament to the story that they're telling and the writing in the game. So overall, it was just probably the surprise of Christ, actually, one of the biggest surprises for me in a long, long time.
Wow, nice.
Not just this year. I really didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. So yeah, just the art will grow on you. I suspect it certainly did on me. Fantastic writing, fantastic voice acting, an amazing story that was told. So yeah, I hope the fact that it's in Game Pass gets more eyes on it than maybe it would have, because it is a niche genre. So I'm hoping that being in Game Pass gives it an opportunity to excel, and hopefully what that means is, something comes next from Interior Night in this genre, whether it be a sequel or a prequel or something entirely new. I'll be looking forward to whatever that might be.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely fantastic. Well said, my friend. Yeah, it's an interesting one because, like, I know what you mean when they say it's like a niche genre. In a sense, there's an element to it where there's definitely a truth to that. And there's also, but though, another way to look at it, in my opinion, which definitely we haven't mentioned, I don't think, which I think is really cool about this game. And that is that it's so accessible that you can play this with regards to, you don't have to be a hardcore gamer. You can play this if you're not a gamer, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can play it on your phone.
You can play it on your
phone as a controller.
Yeah, you don't even need to install it either. Even though it's a heavy install, like this game plays perfectly on the cloud because it's really no motion or anything going on. You know what I mean? So
definitely.
That was a point that was made to me in one of my chats. It's like, it's a heavy game, and somebody's like, just play it on the cloud. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That game is perfect for the cloud, right? So
definitely. Yeah,
I think it's got native touch controns as well in the cloud version, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and like if like my wife started playing it and stuff like that. She plays a fair, not that many games. Sorry, she plays occasional games, yeah, like she's enjoying this. So, people who wouldn't necessarily always play a game, this has got like just a compelling story, and it sort of transcends the, nature of it being a video game. If you see what I mean, it's open to all, which I think is amazing about it. And it's a good thing that it's in Game Pass and they signed up by Xbox almost, because maybe Netflix will try and grab it or something, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I think it's fantastic myself. Like I say, open to so many people to play. But for me, it's that story. I love a gripping story. It definitely had me well locked in every step of the way. I started it. I was excited for it before, but it could have gone either way, like Luke said many times, Scott, hasn't he? Like the story, if it fell flat, the whole game would have been flat, wouldn't it, essentially? Yeah. So absolutely. That's a fair point to make. And the story was definitely not flat. It was anything but. It's one of the best stories I've played in a long time in a game. It's probably, I can't really think of anything on its level in story, to be honest. It was just powerful, gripping, impactful, in just, you've got to play it. I think Dragon Wolf is in the chat there. Thank you for hanging out, buddy. And you haven't tried it, so I highly recommend you do, buddy. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And shout out to all of you legends who have joined us today for this chat about As Dusk Falls. We've been gushing over it for good reason, though. It's been an amazing experience playing it. I'm still going to be playing more of it as well, because of the scope the story. Is just so much to explore. As Psychonaut said, there's so many branches coming off. But yeah, and shout out to Jamie Richardson as well for being here for the whole time. Thank you very much for being here. You're an awesome guy. I really appreciate your support, buddy. Dragon Wolf, as I say, Drew M, who has been bringing some fantastic takes on the game itself. I can see you're a very passionate fan of it as well, which is great to see, my friend, and thank you for being here. I won't shout out that the spammer in the chat there. Who else have we had in today? Fuzzy Belvedere popped by. Thank you for being here. We had Smokeback Official in, Pixel Slapper, And who else? Back from the Dead. Ori popped in. Shiz No Elite. And Caitlin was in at the start. Your good wife there, Mav. Fantastic to see her in. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone who's dropped by to check this out. If you're watching after, we'd love to hear your thoughts on As Dusk Falls, what your playthrough was like in the comments below. Thank you to all of you guys. But I was going to say thank you quickly to all of the awesome people who I've chatted with today, because it's been so much fun. I mean, we could have done this, just in a chat room offline, but it's been great doing it online as well. So, but yeah, Mav, thank you so much for being part of this, buddy. It's always a blast hanging out with you. Such a positive guy who's running an awesome channel, and I love what you do over there. But yeah, thank you so much for being part of it today, my friend. Would you like to shout out where everyone can find you?
Yeah, appreciate it, Indy. And again, just love your stuff and keep up the great work. Known you for almost 2 years now, man.
Yeah, man.
It's been awesome seeing you keep doing your stuff. So, but if you guys want to see what we got going on, check out Fun Speculation over on YouTube, Twitter, Fun Speculation. Tonight we have a show late at night for you over on the other side of the ocean. But for those in the States, it is going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, Fun Speculation podcast. So we'll have a fun one, talk about all these freaking delays. Oh my gosh. Then on Thursday, we have PM in the PM with Pong Soul and I. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern is Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And this coming Friday is episode 101. So
wow,
back
amazing.
on the start to 200. Let's go.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah, just game streams and more. Well, you can catch me live quite a bit. So if you follow on Twitter, you'll usually get a notification when I'm going live on there as well. So appreciate everybody. Fun show. I loved doing this. I love the format, and we had to do this again for another game, Indy.
That sounds like an amazing idea. Definitely, my friend. Thank you again for being part of this. We'll have to get something sorted for that. Yeah, for sure. Great stuff, and amazing congratulations once again on the 100 episodes, my friend. Wowzers. That's awesome. And yes, shouting out to your partner in crime, Psychonauts, who has joined us today. What a pleasure it's been to have you back on, my friend. Again, like I say, doing awesome work with Mav over on the channel, on the Fun Speculation channel. But you've brought some amazing takes today, like I say, as well as Mav has. Been a pleasure, Psychonauts. Thank you very much for being part of it. I'd like to shout out where you can be found as well, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Indy. It's fantastic. You can find me on the Fun Speculation channel, FSPs tonight. And you can find me also on Fridays on Xbox Ultimate at 9 o'clock. That's where I took a little adventure out to Texas, and we did our 100th episode. And man, was it a blast to finally meet two of my brothers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And Kate was just such a delight. She really was.
Love it.
Yeah, she's not as mean as people. That's behind the scenes. Sorry, Kate. We love you. No, but yeah, it's been great. And again, Scott, or I should say SX2. It's an honor to meet you, my friend.
You too, mate. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Love that. Love it when people meet for the first time and, connecting people. That's what this community is all about, isn't it? Getting people together who love games. Absolutely good stuff. And yeah, I saw that photo on Twitter actually, where you were hanging out. That was amazing to see. I love that.
Oh, Indy, did you see the pantry reveal?
No, I didn't see the pantry reveal.
You gotta check that out, because 3-bit didn't know that Psycho was gonna be here, right?
Oh, really?
Psycho knew 3-bit was coming, but we kind of planned Psycho to be here at the last minute, so Psycho flew in a day ahead of time, right? And then when 3-bit got here the next day, we hid Psycho in the pantry, right? And we told 3-bit that we got him some special snacks and some special goodies. You got to go check them out in the pantry. Opened it up and Psycho was in there, and it was it's freaking awesome, dude. It's on Twitter. You can check out the video.
Oh no, I missed that. I saw the pool table photo. That's the one I saw. I'll definitely look out for that. It's on your page, I'm guessing, on Twitter. Oh, it sounds brilliant. Legendary. Yeah, it's so cool. Like I say, we chat all online, don't we? Often, just like best friends, all these communities of people. But it's so good to be able to meet up, isn't it? And actually, do that sort of stuff too. Like I'm really looking forward to EGX in September, when we're going to be going to that and meeting some cool people from the UK. So looking forward to that for sure. And we still need to try and convince Scott to go because I've tried it before, but now's another opportunity to see if we can get him to go. But yes, Scott, my friend, it's been an absolute blast. Always love hanging out with you, brother. Always bring top class knowledge and passion to the show, and it's just so great to be able to hang out with you. And we need to get you to EGX as well, but thank you very much for being part of this. Would you like to let everyone know where they can find you, bruv?
Yeah, of course, mate. Obviously, it was an absolute pleasure as always. This isn't the first time I'm going to be chatting this week, though. I believe we got you on our show this weekend.
Excited.
So we've got a Green Pass Game podcast this Sunday, 8 p.m. BST, 3 p.m. ET, and Indy's going to be joining us for a show this weekend. So
cannot wait.
If you're interested in hearing us or hearing me and Indy talk a little bit more, then feel free to check us out. But I appreciate the invite as always, Indy. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome.
As it always is with you, mate. Obviously, Mav and Saigo. Pleasure for speak with you guys as well. So thank you very much for the invite.
Love it. No, pleasure, buddy. Thank you very much. It means a lot to be able to do it with great people like you guys, because it's nothing without the collaboration, the great times, and just being able to hang out with friends, I would call you guys, and just be able to chat games at the same time. What an experience that is. I love it. But yeah, it's been a fun one. It's been different. We tried something different. I thought it was great. Just being able to enjoy an awesome game and just chat all about the ins and outs of it. Maybe some people hung back because they haven't played it yet, potentially, so hopefully maybe they'll check it out down the line or something. But regardless, I've had an absolute blast, and thank you so much to everyone who has joined us. Caitlin, I was going to make sure I shout out Caitlin because she's not happy that I didn't properly shout her out before. Caitlin, thank you so much for being here. You're a legend. Really appreciate you. I didn't know you were still there. I thought you just popped in at the start, so I really appreciate you being here throughout, and everyone else as well. As I say, Dragon Wolf, Jamie Richardson, everyone who's hung out, you're legends. But yeah, let's wind this bad boy up. It's been a blast. As Scott said, I'll be over on Green Pass Gaming on a Sunday, isn't it? And I'm very much looking forward to that. And we'll be back again with some more content. I've got a little something planned. I'm not sure if there'll be anything before. Maybe the podcast will come up before, but we're going to be doing some content on Cult of the Lamb, and maybe a first impressions sort of dual perspective chat on that game, if you like, with my good pal Luke still. So we'll be doing something on Cult of the Lamb coming up, but that's coming out on the 11th. So, but anyway, for now, keep an eye out basically is the best way. Indie_gamer_01 on Twitter if you want to follow me there to keep up to date with stuff, where I'll drop any tweets about what we've got coming up. But yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you again on the next one. Catch you later, guys.